Hey there, chill seekers. Welcome back to the Spook Show, where we shine a light into the darkest corners of the world. Today, we're talking about places where the lights should have never gone out in the first place. Abandoned hospitals. These crumbling behemoths hold more than just dusty medical equipment and the faint smell of disinfectant. They hold stories whispered in the dead of night, stories that cling to the rusting gurneys and echo in the empty operating rooms. So buckle up, because we're about to explore the 5 most terrifying tales from these haunted hospitals. First up, we're heading to the granddaddy of haunted hospitals, the place that practically has its own frequent visitor card for paranormal investigators, Waverly Hills Sanatorium in Kentucky. This place is practically bursting at the seams with ghost stories, but none quite as chilling as what went down on the 5th floor. Now, the 5th floor is already creepy. You've got peeling paint, flickering shadows, the works. But the real star of this show is room 502. See, room 502 is where a nurse allegedly took her own life, and ever since then, it's been a hotbed for some seriously spooky activity. Legend has it that a group of brave, or maybe just foolish paranormal investigators decided to spend the night. They were armed with their EMF readers, their EVP recorders, the ghost hunting starter pack. They're wandering down the hallway when suddenly they start hearing these faint whispers. At first they think it's just the wind whistling through the broken windows, but then the footsteps start. Heavy, deliberate footsteps coming from the end of the hall, getting closer, closer. One of the investigators swears she sees a shadowy figure dart across the doorway of room 502, and then she feels it. An ice-cold hand, like a corpse's, brushes against her shoulder. The group, understandably, hightailed it out of there, faster than you can say boo. Next, we travel across the pond to Germany, to a hospital with a history as vast and imposing as its architecture, the Beelitz-Heilstätten Hospital. This place has seen it all, from treating soldiers in World War I to housing Nazi officials. So, yeah, you could say it's got a bit of baggage. Now imagine this. You're a photographer. You've got your camera, you're wandering the deserted corridors of Beelitz, sunlight filtering through the dusty windows. You're alone, or so you think. As you snap photos of peeling wallpaper and rusted surgical tools, a chill runs down your spine. You get that feeling, the one that makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand on end, like someone or something is watching you. You brush it off, keep snapping photos until you reach this one room. In the center of the room, bathed in a shaft of pale sunlight, is a wheelchair, just sitting there, empty. You take a few steps closer, raise your camera, and then you hear it. A faint whisper, in German, coming from the far end of the room. You spin around, heart pounding, but there's no one there. You chalk it up to nerves, to the eerie silence of the place playing tricks on your mind. You turn back to the wheelchair, and your blood runs cold. It's moved. Not just a few inches, but several feet. As if someone, or something, had just been sitting there. You race back to your car, adrenaline pumping, and as you're speeding away, you can't shake the feeling that you were not alone at Beelitz. Now let's hop over to Singapore, to a place where the humidity isn't the only thing that will make you break out in a cold sweat old Changi hospital. This former British military hospital has a dark past, serving as a prisoner of war camp during World War II. It's said that the spirits of those who suffered and died within its walls still linger, unable to find peace. Picture this. You and your buddies, the ones who are always up for a good scare, decide to explore old Changi at night. You sneak past the barbed wire fences, flashlights in hand, hearts pounding with a mixture of fear and excitement. As you walk down the darkened corridors, the air grows heavy, suffocating. You hear things, faint screams that seem to come from everywhere and nowhere at once, the rattling of chains dragging across the concrete floor. You round a corner and find yourselves near what was once the operating theater. One of your friends, let's call him Mark, suddenly freezes. He lets out a gasp, his eyes wide with terror. He points to the far end of the hallway, his hand trembling. I just saw someone, he stammers. A man in a military uniform just standing there, watching us. You shine your flashlights down the hallway, but there's nothing there. You try to convince Mark that it was just his imagination, but then things get even weirder. You reach the entrance you swore you came through, the one with the broken window and the rusty sign, but it's gone. In its place, a solid wall, as if it was never there at all. Panic sets in. You're trapped. You run through the corridors, the air thick with fear and desperation, until finally, you stumble upon another exit, a small hidden door you hadn't noticed before. Now we're heading back to the US, to a place where the ghosts apparently love to play hide and seek. Waverly Hills Asylum in New York. This former poorhouse and asylum has a long and troubled history, with reports of abuse and neglect. It's no wonder that the spirits here are said to be restless and, let's just say, a little touchy-feely. It was a dark and stormy night. Okay, maybe not stormy, but definitely dark. A public ghost hunt was in full swing at Rolling Hills, and people were eager to catch a glimpse of the resident spooks. Now, among the brave souls with their EMF readers and cameras was a guy named Steve. Steve seemed like a decent dude, just your average ghost hunting enthusiast. Little did he know, he was about to become the star of the show. There's this one particular hallway in Rolling Hills that's notorious for its paranormal activity. They call it the Shadow Hallway. Original, right? But trust me, the name is earned. Steve, being the intrepid ghost hunter that he is, decides to venture down the Shadow Hallway alone. Big mistake. As he walks deeper into the darkness, he feels a cold spot form around him, the air growing heavy with a strange, oppressive energy. And then, he sees it. At the far end of the hallway, a shadowy figure emerges from the darkness. It's tall and slender, with long, wispy arms that reach towards him. Steve freezes, his heart pounding in his chest. The figure takes a step closer, then another, gliding silently towards him. Steve tries to speak, but no sound comes out. He raises his camera, snapping a photo as the figure is just feet away from him, and then just as quickly as it appeared, it vanishes. Gone. Last, but certainly not least, we arrive at our final destination, a place so infamous it's been dubbed one of the most haunted locations in the world. Gonjiam Psychiatric Hospital in South Korea. This place has been the subject of countless paranormal investigations, documentaries, and even a horror movie. And for good reason. Gonjiam is not for the faint of heart. The stories that come out of this place will send shivers down your spine and make you want to sleep with the lights on. So, there's this group of friends, right? Young, adventurous, maybe not the sharpest tools in the shed, but hey, who am I to judge? They decide to explore Gonjiam because what could possibly go wrong, right? They sneak onto the grounds, ignoring the no trespassing signs and the unsettling feeling that they're being watched. They find their way into one of the abandoned wards, and that's when things start to get real. The air inside the ward is thick with a palpable sense of dread, like a weight pressing down on their chests. As they venture deeper into the ward, they discover walls covered in unsettling graffiti, messages scrawled in red paint that send chills down their spines. Get out, don't look behind you, they're watching. One of the friends, let's call her Sarah, swears she hears a woman sobbing, a low, mournful sound that seems to come from the very walls themselves. The others don't hear anything, but Sarah's convinced something isn't right. They press on, their hearts pounding in their chests until they reach a room at the end of the hallway. The door creaks open, revealing a small, dimly lit room. And that's when it happens. One of the friends, let's call her Emily, screams, a blood-curdling scream that echoes through the empty halls of the hospital. The others spin around to see what's wrong, their flashlights shaking in their hands. Emily is standing in the doorway, her eyes wide with terror, her face pale as death. I saw her, she stammers, her voice trembling. A woman, in a hospital gown, standing in the corner, watching us. The group doesn't need any more convincing. They turn and run, fleeing the hospital as fast as their legs can carry them. They don't stop running until they're safely away from the grounds, gasping for breath, their hearts racing. But for Emily, the terror doesn't end there. So there you have it, chill seekers. 5 terrifying tales from some of the most haunted hospitals in the world. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling sufficiently spooked. If you enjoyed this journey into the heart of medical madness, hit that like button and subscribe for more spine-chilling stories. And be sure to let me know in the comments, have you ever visited any of these haunted hospitals? Got any spooky stories of your own? I'm all ears, or should I say all eyes. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe. And, for the love of all that is holy, stay out of abandoned hospitals.